Why, hi there, and welcome to the Identity Shop. What are you interested in looking for today? Some new hobbies, some new interests. We have a wide assortment of different traits and attributions that we would happily give over. You don't know who you are? You're having an existential crisis. Yes. I find that a lot of people your age have existential crises, and in fact, a little known secret is that you're constantly always going to be having existential crises. Look at middle-aged people. They constantly have existential crises. Why? It's caused by the alienation of, we already know what it is. So, instead, let us begin analyzing what makes you up. So, tell me, what is your favorite color? It could be anything. You could have many favorite colors, but what are your favorite colors? Interesting. What is your favorite TV show? What is your favorite movie? What is your favorite band? It's okay if you don't have an answer for one of these questions. It's perfectly fine. That means that you have no favorite TV show, and that is a part of your identity. That you have no favorite TV show or favorite color, and that's just a part of you. So, tell me, what is your favorite singer? And do you have any interest whatsoever in philosophy? I would include religion in philosophy, yes. I would include different branches of theology in philosophy, as long as it's not that organized set of belief that are framed within a hierarchical structure. That's more so like religion. But the tenets, the points of beliefs are more philosophical. You take your time on that one. And while you're thinking about that one, would you like some tea? I have this very nice watercolor painting of a church with a little creek in front of it. I might paint out the church to be a sort of funeral parlor, honestly, but there's this lovely little cup here that I would more than happily pass on to you if you so choose, or if you would so like to. Yes. Of course. So, have you considered the philosophical question? You have. Have you reached a conclusion? So, what would you find as being some points of philosophy that you enjoy? I'd be happy to give you some examples. So there are the Cathars, which I have been recently very much obsessed with, which were a Christian group that whose origins are kind of unknown. Like, no one knows when they started, but they know when they ended. And it was because the Catholics wiped them out around the 1100s. Once the Catholic Church really started to take more power over the whole, or rather monopolizing the whole idea of Christianity. So the Cathars believed that God was actually divine masculine and divine feminine. The divine feminine side was called Sophia, and the divine masculine side was working in conjunction and balance with the divine feminine, because they're both equally as powerful. They also believed that the material world is actually hell, that we are currently in hell, and that in order to liberate yourself from hell, you have to let go of all sense of materialism, and you have to be one with your spirituality. Now, that isn't to say that they bastardized that sense of spirituality with the modern day conception of what Christianity is, of, making sure that you're looking at your neighbor's eye to make sure that they're doing everything right according to your biblical teachings, and making sure that you're, being the holiest one. But rather, their conception of spirituality is to live as minimally as possible, to live as frugally as possible, to live as in being content in a happy and satisfied state with what you already have, to live, to not get married, to not have children, because by having a child, you are locking a soul onto this earth to suffer. So they were antinatalists. So they also believed that hell obviously was on earth. They believed that the Catholic Church was actually bastardizing the Bible and actually creating a system via what Satan, which is actually the God that they worship, wants, and that the God of the Old Testament is actually Satan, and that the God of the New Testament is actually the real God, and that there have been a lot of books that were omitted from the canon Bible, such as the Book of Mary Magdalene, the Book of Ruth, and the Book of Judas, that actually point the Bible in a completely different direction than what we now know the Bible to be, which is very puritanical, very destructive, very it supports persecution. It's very violent. But the other Bible is far more mind-blowing and bending. So that's one point of philosophy. Not to go off on Christianity too much, there is also Buddhism and Hinduism. Buddhism practices detachment. It practices being content with what you have, and like the Cathars, sort of leaving this material world to live in more harmony within a spiritual world, where you recognize that everything that goes on around you only goes on around you, and that you have to welcome that energy within you in order to be affected by it. It also teaches the Eightfold Path. It teaches the sense of living in complete harmony and peace, and to just sort of be content with what you have. Hinduism, on the other hand, is a religion that has much more, like, its themes are far more humanitarian. So, for example, the most famous goddess Kali, is just one version of the same goddess, the same mother goddess. And Kali, to best kind of give an example of what I mean by more humanitarian, she isn't someone to be revered or worshipped or to be given complete obedience to, as the modern conception of religion now leads you to believe that you must completely bow your head to the next person, but rather it gives you an example of how she was fighting this demon dragon, and how every time she would sever a head, the blood would pour to the ground and another demon would rise in its place, and she kept trying to hack through, but she kept failing because it more and more kept spawning up, until finally she started severing all of these heads and drinking the blood up through her long tongue, making sure that none of the blood would hit the ground to create a new demon. And what that basically symbolizes is a radical sense of acceptance, where you, instead of fighting off or running away or fighting off demons, you instead just harshly and aggressively accept all of your demons, and to say that this is what I am and this is who I am, and I am not going to run away from it or be ashamed by it. And there are several stories that kind of follow that same vein of, I am not here to be worshipped, I am not here to be to demand complete and total obedience or worship or whatever, but rather just understand that these are stories, allegories that best define the human experience and the human condition, and how these stories are here to give you a sense of understanding and reciprocity within this existence. There's also the Tao, which is to be in a state of stillness and to just exist without chasing after anything or trying to attain anything, whether it be personal security, personal peace, personal happiness, or material stuff. You just sort of stay and not try to chase after anything, just let it come to you. So there's several different philosophies that you could resonate with, and which could build your identity up again, or a facet of your identity up again. Now, to move away from such a loaded subject, because frankly you could really take it anywhere, and it is absolutely fascinating to learn from, as Alan Watts would say, as cliche as the name is to cite, once you realize that you can play with religion, it becomes a lot more fun, as opposed to being like chains around your neck. Now, tell me, what are some hobbies that you enjoy doing? It doesn't matter if you haven't done it in a long time, or it doesn't matter if you haven't done it in a very long time. What are some hobbies that give you happiness? What really kind of sparks joy in you? Interesting. Now, what are some hobbies that you would like to pursue? Yes, hobbies that feel like they're percolating at your mind, that you're not wanting to do it to impress anyone, but rather just to enjoy the craft of it, or enjoy the learning lesson of it, or enjoy the experience of it. Mhm. Mhm. I love that. I love that. And what would you say is the best accomplishment that you've achieved? Not accomplishment based on societal standards of, oh, what have you done to contribute to the society, but rather a personal, individual, quiet accomplishment that you have made for yourself, and not in the sense of monetary success, or not in the sense of something tangible within this false society or false reality that we're living in, something that within you are very proud of, whether it be a rewiring of your mind, whether it be a stabilizing of your heart, whether it be a stillness in your foot, something that you have accomplished for yourself and for your existence that is giving you an overwhelming sense of pride within yourself and or confidence in achieving what it is that you want to achieve within yourself. No, please, by all means, take your time. I'm going to take a sip of some water, please. By all means, remember to stay hydrated. We are 80% water. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 yes. Excellent. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Of course, of course, of course, of course. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Now, what are some taboos that you enjoy? Yes, taboos such as religious taboos like tarot cards, witchcraft, um, psychic readings, or for example, some societal taboos such as venting your heart out, or going off and doing wild things like running off into the woods and just, playing with the dirt or climbing up trees or whatever. Yeah, you don't realize how many taboos there are in society until you really try to do whatever it is that you want. For example, you can't climb up a tree as an adult, people will look at you weird. You can't go off and run or skip as an adult, people will look at you weird. You can't go to the store and ride on a bike or play with the toys because people will look at you weird. You can't go off and play in the dirt or the mud or have fun just being goofy because people will look at you weird. The older you get, the more taboos there are. So the older you get, you must learn how to push away those taboos and say, I'm going to do whatever it is I'm going to do because it's what makes me happy and it's what makes me me. So, what are some of your favorite taboos? Things that you want to do or you have done that have garnered you bad looks or judgmental looks? Yeah, it doesn't matter if you ultimately didn't do it because of, some social embarrassment. Ultimately, what matters is that you recognize what you want to do. And that way, the next time you are tempted to do something else or to do that very same activity, you can go for it. Love it. Love it. Fascinating, 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 fascinating. That's great. That's very good insight on yourself. Tell me, what is your favorite artist and or art movement? In fact, let's split that question up into two parts. What is your favorite artist? Perfectly fine if you don't have one. And what is your favorite art movement? It could be futurism, it could be cubism, it could be Dada, it could be the Pre-Raphaelite Brotherhood, it could be abstract, modern, traditional. What is your favorite art movement? I was gonna say music. What is your favorite art movement? And depending on those answers, what do you feel like that says about your soul? For example, if you like a more floral or ornamental or intricate art movement, and your favorite artist is following in that same vein of being more intricate and ornamental, what do you find that says about your creativity and your abstract mind, your sense of maximalism, your sense of wanting to be around beauty and art, constantly colors around you? Do you find that you're very expressive and that your mind is very perspective, where you can consider multitudes of options and possibilities and you enjoy surrounding yourself with stimuli? Or if you find brutalism or futurism more and minimalism far more satisfying? Do you find that you're someone who's much more orderly and organized and far more objective with your points? That you're someone who enjoys a conclusion and enjoys finding it and finding the most efficient and productive conclusion possible? Yes, it's curious questions, food for thought. Well, while I let you ponder those questions over and allow them to sort of simmer in to see if they really resonate with you and to see if they really kind of mold you into the person that you find you are, I'm going to let you rest in that case. I will be giving you some time to think on your own. Yes, of course. You take care now.